Dana White's Contender Series 2023 week number 1. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Really looking forward to this card. I think we got some banger fights and real exciting prospects. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. Also note tomorrow, Tuesday, which is actually today at the time of this recording, it's 12 a.m., I'm doing a Contender Series fight companion. 7 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, live for Contender Series. Normally, I'm live every Tuesday doing a Q&A, so we'll do a fight companion with a little Q&A as well. So make sure to tune into that. And let's jump into the fights on the card. Starting it off, we have Kevin Borjas versus Victor Diaz. I'll tell you guys out the gate, I'm picking Borjas to win, and I know some people might say I'm crazy because they've seen the betting odds. It's very wide towards Diaz. Note that Diaz came in to take this fight on short notice against Borjas, who I think is going to be difficult to take down and control and going to have a clear-cut striking advantage. I really feel like Borjas is pretty slick with the stand-up. He's got power in his hands, kind of karate-esque striking style, and that type of stand-up game can be very difficult for a guy in Victor Diaz who's a pure grappling type of fighter. I don't want to say pure grappling because I feel like I'm taking away from his entire game, but specified more so towards pressure wrestle, takedown, control from top, grapple, look for punches or submission from the top. His stand-up, being Diaz, is still developing at 32 years of age, whereas Borjas, his age is not listed officially. I believe he's 26 or 27, young guy with good athleticism. I think he's really dangerous in this fight here. He's going to be an inch taller. We'll bring these guys up on the scales, but the pick is Borjas. I do think he's getting a knockout, and I think he's being slept on by the books. He's got a nice style, and I think it matches up well here with Diaz. There's Borjas. There is Diaz. Diaz does not look like too well on the scale. I don't know, man. His face looks real sunk in. I know that, I'm not looking at Mr. Olympia Borjas on the other side, but I just didn't love Diaz on the scale as well. And then when you look at the face-off, you see that little bit of height difference. Borjas, being a strong grappler, has a little bit more muscle mass on his frame. But I don't think that's a huge thing here. I mean, obviously, yeah, Borjas, if he is taken down, put on his back, and unable to get up, that's a scary position to be in. But I don't think Diaz has the speed to easily close that gap on Borjas. I do think Borjas has a competent grappling defense game, and Diaz maybe a bit overrated coming in. Minus 355? I don't think so. He opened up at minus 300 as wide as minus 450. I don't think he deserves that tag. Borjas, plus 280 underdog. Knockout capabilities here. I think he's got a real chance to KO Diaz. I like the striking style. This is a striker versus grappler fight. I like the more athletic striker who fights well from the long range versus a guy in Diaz who's pretty mid-tier in the stand-up who does have a strong grappling game. I will bring up a couple recent opponents. You see 9-5 fighter Thiago Bello there, submission there. This was fairly impressive to beat Ibrahimov, who, the OV at the end, if you follow the channel, a lot of those guys are very dangerous on the ground, and for him to get a sub and actually have successful grappling moments there shows Diaz is dangerous on the floor, but I don't think he's been in there with somebody who brings the striking style of his opponent here. Now, at the end of the day, neither of these guys have gone in there left and right fighting world beaters. You can see a loss 3.5 years ago by sub to Renzo Mendes over in Combate. I don't take that fight as a red flag. At the end of the day, he ended up getting subbed in a fight. I don't think Diaz, though, is going to have the striking to be able to set up, the significant grappling control. We shall find out. Big underdog in El Gallo Negro. I love the nickname for him. Kevin Borjas for the win. I'm going to call knockout to start off the Contender Series card. And he's way more of a style that the UFC would be interesting to sign. Like, they'd be more interested in signing him. Diaz, pressure grappling style, can be conservative. Sure, he gets subs off. But at the end of the day, I think here he's going to get chinned. I'm going Borjas for the big upset, starting it off. Diaz, you can see canceled fights for Borjas. Diaz coming in on short notice. He's being overrated here. Next fight on the card is Payton Talbott versus Reyes Cortez. I got to pick Payton Talbott, even though I got some yellow flags. He gets taken down a lot, even though he's got a wrestling background. He wrestled in high school, and he's competent on the floor. It's because he is so insistent upon striking upright and throwing hard punches and kicks. I like Talbott's style. He's another guy that I think the UFC will want on the roster. You look at Cortez, he had a good fight with Christian Rodriguez a while ago. How many years back is that? Nearly 2 years ago on Contender, he lost. He's gotten wins since then against, I would say, fairly subpar competition, 2-0, 3-1, but how much shit can I talk? I guess I can say a little shit about the competition, right? His opponent, Talbott, be an 8-1-1 fighter, 5-3-1 still experienced, 4-2. Then we're digging back far now. At the end of the day, Talbott, 5-0, long guy. You're going to see when I show the face-off between these two that he has the height and obviously the reach advantage in this spot. Let's pull them up on the scales. But yeah, the pick is going to be Talbott. He's known as a finisher, but Cortez is not easy to finish. I think there's going to be hard strikes being thrown by Talbott. Cortez at times will clinch up and he will land some takedowns. I'm leaning Talbott on the cards. There's Talbott there with the signature nose ring. He looks kind of like a bull. And then you got the face-off between these two. I like the fight. I think that there's definitely a striking advantage for Payton Talbott. Probably a slight wrestling edge towards the side of Cortez. Not a major finisher, a guy that can use control, but I'm just not sold here. I think Talbott's going to get him. I think the odds are in favor of the right fighter. Talbott is -165. I do think he wins. Cortez +140. I feel like Cortez has the toughness to make it to the later stages of this fight, even though I think he's definitely going to be outgunned on the feet. I like Talbott's slick striking. I like that he storms his opponents. But yeah, red flag is him getting hit a lot. And he doesn't have his age listed there, but note, he's like 24, 25 years of age, young guy as well. Cortez 31 on the opposite side. I like the athleticism. I like the youth. I like the striking. I like, even though Talbott's been taken down in fights against good grapplers, he finds ways out of bad positions here. I'm not impressed by Cortez. I think that Talbott's going to beat him. I think Cortez is tough, though. So I'll pick Talbott by a decision over Reyes Cortez in our second fight on the card. Let's get to the featured bout. It's Caio Machado versus Kevin Szaflarski. What a hard last name to pronounce. I'm going to pick Szaflarski in this fight here. I'm not overly impressed by either guy. I'll tell you that straight out the gate. I do like the amateur pedigree of Szaflarski. He won the massive IMMAFF tournament. Let's dig back here. Let's pull it up. You can see he has wins. IMMAF 2015 amateur champ. He was unbeaten through the amateur ranks, and then obviously turning pro. He lost his debut, but is on a pretty impressive 11-fight win streak. Now, as far as the style of Szaflarski, of course, chubbier heavyweight, has a fat midsection. Pretty upright and tall kickboxing style, works decent straight punches, likes to jab, cross, and then following it with the lead uppercut is something that I noticed. And he does slip back fairly well. After he'll throw a jab, he'll slip out of the way. And what I like is him having a reach edge in this fight. This will allow him to fight fairly well from the long range. He does keep range well, but he's also pretty physically strong and works good in the clinch. Makes sense, right? He's a 260-pound man, 6'6". He's going to be strong. Iffy gas tank, though. There's a red flag about him that definitely gives me a little bit of fear as far as the betting side. On the other side, though, Caio Machado, very fast-starting type of fighter, has a very competent grappling game, but will slug and mix it up on the feet. He likes to fight, and he has a fun style. He's also a southpaw. What I don't like about him, though, in striking, he can be a bit reckless. I definitely think the more proficient technician in the stand-up is Szaflarski. Jiu-jitsu advantage, Machado. Wrestling edge. I do feel like Machado doesn't have great wrestling. He's got decent trips, but he doesn't have great wrestling. And I think Szaflarski is going to be real hard for him to take down. I expect Szaflarski to control against the cage a bit, end up pulling off a decision. I can kind of compare Szaflarski to like a taller, maybe Marcin Tybura. They're both Polish fighters. It kind of makes sense, that comparison there. But honestly, you know, similarities in certain aspects as far as the frame and their clinch work. I think Tybura is a more proficient grappler. At the end of the day, 11-1 record looks real nice, and he's got some finishes, but when the competition steps up a bit, it tends to be decisions, and he's not overly urgent looking for a finish. I know he's on Contender Series. We say, oh, maybe he's going to come out crazier now. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he fights smart and wins a decision. Machado on the other side. What I don't like is the competition level here. He fought Lee Mean twice in 2 years. Do you know who Lee Mean is? He's Jordan Mean's dad, Jordan Mean. And you know how old he is? 56 years of age at the time of the rematch. So he's fighting, a middle-aged guy who's, in great shape and all, but losing record and stuff like that. The win that I was impressed with him was the Chris Larson knockout. Chris Larson is a big, roid head, muscles, jacked, heavy-handed guy who throws bombs, and if he connects, he'll put you to sleep. And you know what? I got to say, I was impressed by Machado eating some shots, and he throws some heat back. So this fight here, I really want to say the betting side is more so concerning. I'll pull up the scales, and you can see these guys face off. I think it's a fun one, a true coin flip type of fight, but I think Szaflarski pulls it off by a bit. There is Machado on the scale, and there is Szaflarski, who don't look too good, and then there's the face-off. Neither of these guys are winning any physique competitions anytime soon. I'm going to go with Szaflarski to win it. I'll say he pulls it off on the judges' scorecards, but I don't love this pick all that much, and I definitely don't love the betting side. So if you are considering Szaflarski, he's minus 180 to Machado, plus 155 as a dog. Dogs and, Contender Series kind of go well together, so I understand some people might be on Machado. He's just not one of my dogs personally. I'll pick Szaflarski to win a judge's decision over Caio Machado. And let's keep running up the card. Co-main event. It's Tom Nolan versus Bogdan Grad. Talk about a good fight. This fight gets me stoked. This might be maybe the main event, but this is the second most exciting fight for me on the card. I like the way this stylistic matchup is going to potentially go. Now, Bogdan Grad is going to be my pick in this fight. I like him to win, and I'm going to say he ends up getting a knockout. Reason being, he's a pretty fucking dangerous striker. Fast jab, massive overhand punch, big left hook, nasty kicks to the body, to the legs, to the head, and he slips shots well. I like that he keeps his head moving. On the opposite side, Tom Nolan is a bit of a force overall. He's a good pressure fighter. He's a long and rangy kind of Thai style striker in the stand-up. Southpaw stance for him. I'll say something. I like Nolan's kicks more than his punches. He throws good flurries of punches, but I would not call him a heavy-handed fighter by any means here. Now, he's not awful on the ground. He has decent takedowns. He can control certain opponents from top, especially when they choose to engage him in the grappling. Note that when Tom Nolan gets hurt by Bogdan, I do believe he's going to be shooting. The explosiveness of the hips of Bogdan are something that I have, a considerable amount of appreciation for, that I don't think Tom Nolan is going to have an easy time getting the shorter Bogdan to the floor and the more explosive Bogdan to the floor. Nolan's a tall and lanky guy. We'll bring them up on the scales, and you can see the height difference here. Ashmu Sam Patterson is a fight with like a similar frame and height difference. There is Bogdan Grad. And then on the other side, there is Tom Nolan. I don't want to compare Bogdan Grad to Ludovic Klein. It's not really exactly like that style, but he does have a similar explosiveness to his stand-up game. And you can see big height difference favoring the side of Tom Nolan. He is a very tall guy to fight in the lightweight division. It's kind of insane, 6'3". Bogdan Grad hits like a truck, but it's about finding the shot. I do think the way that Nolan fights, it's limited head movement, and he comes with forward pressure out of southpaw. I think Bogdan can drop some hammers on him and put his lights out. He's got a lot of power. He's competent on the floor, too. He's an incredible athlete, and I'm going with the explosive power striker. I'm going with Bogdan Grad to beat the tall and lanky, well-rounded Tom Nolan, but talk about a fucking dogfight. I love this matchup here. Minus 155 for Tom Nolan. Bogdan Grad is the plus 135 underdog. So I am going underdog here. I like Bogdan Grad. I'm going to pick him to win by knockout. I really think he can pull it off here against Nolan, especially if it's in the stand-up. And I do think there's going to be good defense on Bogdan's side. Note, more than double the experience for Bogdan Grad as a professional, and he's getting finishes. He's a powerful guy, and I think that he will knock out Tom Nolan. And note something. Tom Nolan has been knocked out one time as an amateur. It was body strikes. Expect Bogdan Grad to work the body a bit as he pressures Tom Nolan and works his way inside. So give me Bogdan Grad, KO win, and a pretty action-packed lightweight fight with two guys that I'm keeping my eye on because both are really skilled fighters. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Cesar Almeida versus Lucas Fernando. Note, Cesar Almeida is a no-joke kickboxer. He's fought Alex Pereira 3 times. He's 1-2 against Alex Pereira. So he did defeat him once. Record 47-7, 1-1 in kickboxing. He has a shitload of experience there. On the opposite side, Lucas Fernando, 9-1 pro MMA fighter and actually the LFA champion in the middleweight division. Big fight here against Cesar Almeida and Lucas Fernando. I'll tell you this much. I'm going to pick Cesar Almeida, which is another against the grain pick. Why do I see Almeida winning? Well, Lucas Fernando is a Brazilian national team member for kickboxing. He's also a boxing coach. He is an MMA striker, and at times he reminds me of a lesser version of Alex Pereira. Cesar Almeida definitely has the explosiveness advantage. He's the way harder puncher, and he's more accurate with his punching. Lucas Fernando's best bet to win this fight is grappling. He's going to have to look to clinch up and take down Almeida, but at the end of the day, Fernando's bread and butter is more so beating his opponent's legs up, striking well with them, pressuring them, hurting them with shots. He'll occasionally mix in trips against the cage, but that's not necessarily his forte. What I don't like about Lucas Fernando is that he is a fair bit stiff closing the gap, right? If you think Brazilian national kickboxing team, Lucas Fernando versus high-level Brazilian kickboxer as a professional, there is going to be a level difference in the striking. The southpaw stance for Almeida, I think he can find a straight left, especially a right hook. Almeida, I'm telling you, he's got one of the meanest straight lefts and right hook combinations, bro. Like straight left? Yeah, straight left. He's fighting out of southpaw, but he can mix it. I think he can mix both stances well, too. So the straight and then the hook over the top, Almeida can crack, man. I like Almeida's stand-up a lot. I wrote down here, special striker with what I saw from Almeida. Yeah, I know he's only got 3 pro MMA fights, a fuckload of kickboxing, facing off against somebody who's more of a primary MMA striker, a guy who likes to explode inside a range, but the head stays on the center line a lot, and I think he potentially gets chinned here. Now, if Lucas Fernando is on top of takedowns and chooses to embrace the grind in this fight, he can pull off a win. I'm not saying Cesar Almeida is an absolute lock, but I'm calling him by knockout because I expect it to be a fight that is contested primarily on the feet. If Fernando is to get on top of Almeida, I think he's going to hurt him with a shot and then press and get inside, back him up against the cage, take him down. I'm going to say Cesar Almeida for the KO. I'm going against the grain. I'm going to pull up the face-offs between these two. You can see, a little bit of a height advantage. There is Fernando. He looks good on the scale, as does Almeida. Little bit of a height edge for Fernando, but not significant. These guys are almost the same height. And Almeida has bombs in his hands. I don't believe that Fernando is going to be able to absorb a clean one to the chin. I think he's getting his light shut off here versus the better kickboxer. Now, another big underdog, plus 225, Cesar Almeida, Lucas Fernando, minus 265 as the favorite in this fight here. So that's pretty damn wild. This card is going to be action-packed savagery. Holy smokes. I'm going with the side of Almeida in the main event, underdog. So I got a few underdog picks that I'm riding with here, being Almeida, being Bogdan Grad, and being Kevin Borjas. There's some favorites too. I think that parlays on this card are going to be a real high risk, high reward type situation. So if you want to go balls to the wall with a parlay and you want to risk it for the biscuit type of thing, you go Borjas, Almeida, dog parlay. You could also ride with the likes of Payton, Talbott on your parlay, and maybe you do one with Payton, Talbott and Bogdan Grad to mix things up. These heavyweights make me nervous, but I do think Kevin Szaflarski is going to pull it off. I'm really not going to advise, parlays outside of more Hail Marys, or you're shooting 2 fighters that you really feel are going to win, or 2 fighters that you really like the lines on, because I think you got to be cautious with Contender Series. At the end of the day, Contender Series, I have to give you guys a fair warning, more so than the UFC. It's different, right? The UFC, you've seen a lot of fights of these guys, and you've watched them compete many times at the highest level. Fighters here in the Contender Series are prospects on the come up that are fighting maybe at the highest level of the regional scene or the national scene, but not the UFC level here. So we're going to find out a lot about each of these fighters, and I'm very excited for it. I'm excited for the Contender Series Picks Challenge because at the end of the day, it's no joke. Some huge dogs have come through in the past, and I think they definitely can come through here on this Contender Series episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the first Contender Series breakdown of the season. Make sure you guys smash the like button and let me know what you think in the comments. Drop a W in those comments, too, to boost the algorithm for your boy. Tell me, you say, yo, AJ, I love these Contender Series predictions. Keep them up. I want to see more. I saw a ton of people asking me about it, and I'm glad that I'm bringing them to you guys, even though this is a late night prediction show drop for me. Much love, people. Subscribe if you're new. I got a ton of content coming every single day of the week. You don't want to miss anything. So keep it locked in on the channel with the post notifications turned on. And don't just keep them on personalized. Put them on all so you do not miss a video. Thank you all for tuning into the show. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.